town of Dunoon is recorded in a series of historical charters dating back centuries. What survives is limited to this historical core here, from Castle Hill across to Castle House and High Kirk. Let's find out more about what survives from Dunoon's medieval past.
Dunoon Castle was once an important stronghold, but little now remains except for the foundations on top of the small hill. The castle is said to date from the 11th century, although there may have been an even earlier stronghold there. It once had 3 towers and occupied much of the site of the present castle gardens. Dunoon's castle had a violent past during the Middle Ages, changing hands several times during the Wars of Independence. In 1563, it survived to have a notable visitor when Mary Queen of Scots came to stay. But by the 1680s, during the Earl of Argyll's rebellion against King James II, the castle was destroyed by government forces when the rebellion was crushed. Since then, it was left to fall steadily into ruin.
This here is all that survives of the original castle's fabric. We can find more of it somewhere nearby. 200 years ago, James Ewing, who was the Provost of Glasgow, bought the site of Dunoon's medieval castle to build his own exclusive holiday home, Castle House Museum, as we know it today. Ewing's builders cleared the site of the old medieval castle and reused some of the stonework. The space where Castle House is built today would have been the courtyard of the old medieval castle. This building here is Dunoon's High Kirk. Now the original building in medieval times would have been sited here, and in front of it, in the car park now, would have been the medieval graveyard. On the other side of the graveyard, in the 17th century, there stood a bishop's palace. This is where the Bishop of Argyll had his seat for a short time. The building is now demolished and long gone and lost under the playground of Dunoon Primary School.
Castle Hill holds the oldest surviving building still standing in Dunoon. It isn't James Ewing's castle house, nor is it the blasted shell of Dunoon's ancient castle. Instead, it is 3 whitewashed small white cottages that stand just on Kirk Street. These buildings are recorded as being one of the few structures left standing in Dunoon when James Ewing came here in the early 1820s. Exploring further down Kirk Street, more evidence of Dunoon's old castle can be found.
The massive wall behind me here marks the boundary of Castle House. Put here in 1821 by James Ewing and his architects when they came here to build his new holiday home, it reused masonry on the site, taken from the tumbled down remains of Dunoon's medieval castle. Today, it marks the boundary of Castle House's gardens.
At the foot of Castle Hill stands a Lamont memorial. This commemorates the massacre of over 100 of Clan Lamont's men by Clan Campbell. In 1646, friction between the two clans led to Clan Campbell leading an attack on the Lamont castles at Toward and Ascog. After a siege, the chief of Clan Lamont was persuaded to abandon his castles under a peaceful treaty of surrender, but then the vengeful Clan Campbell marched the men to Dunoon and executed all of them in Dunoon's churchyard. 100 of the men are buried in a mass grave marked here by the memorial. The death toll was so high that one tree in Dunoon was said to have 25 bodies hanging from its branches. The distraught chief of Clan Lamont was thrown in prison. He alone survived and rotted in jail for the next 5 years. It took some time for the Campbells to come to justice. In 1661, the leader of the Campbells was executed for his crimes.
That was Dunoon's Historical Centre. Thanks for watching.